Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT EMEA Kickoff 2025. For this occasion, I'm here accompanied by Faded, the head coach of a Team Vitality, who are coming off of a pretty long match victory over Karmine Corp at the start of said competition. So, Faded, thank you so much for giving me a chance to talk to you. I'm not gonna lie, you kind of look like your namesake. You look a little faded because of how long that match took and how late it is right now over there in Germany. But nevertheless, gotta ask you the obvious opener. How are you feeling? How was it for you to look at the team overcome Karmine Core in such a fashion?
Honestly, Core, like mad respects to them. They put up, a good fight. I think it was good to see the boys in action. First off, through practices and things, the boys are flowing, learning. The amount of effort they put into on an individual basis, right? Like every single one of them, you can tell like wants to win. And I think like that was like the really cool aspect of not only knowing how much hard work they put in behind the scenes in order to get to this point, but also their unwillingness to give up. I think that was like one of the biggest like heart touching things that I saw from them today was their ability to just never see the game over until it was over. And they would always create fire, always create the idea that any situation for them is winnable. And I think that is probably something you can't teach someone. So seeing that come out from every single one of them was probably one of the coolest things to be a part of. So yeah.
I'm gonna jump forward into the third and final map in Abyss because obviously that was like basically the climax of the series. You guys started off in front. KC responded back. They were in position to take the map. You guys came back in return. Then there was that like long overtime in which both teams exchanged attacking side victories up until you guys won that one and only defensive round, and that kind of led to the W. I mean, how crazy was that Abyss map, and what made it such that Vitality had to go so far and work so hard to kind of overcome Karmine Core?
I would say, the map itself, the attack side has a lot of strong advantages, and I think the way that Karmine Corp was playing it was, they definitely played it very smart, right? They found a lot of information. They kind of played, they played the information game against us, and I think, mad respects to them again. Like they have great players, their coaching staff too as well. They definitely have a very high ceiling with the way that they run things, and I think it was just a battle of ideas, right? You can always create, you can always have things behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, it's the information that you see in the server that's going to give you a lot of power. And I think one of the biggest things is you can see the minds at work, right? And shout outs to like our whole team. Like everyone came up with ideas, and there's so much trust in our within our team that everyone is able to kind of have their peace and trust from each one, each one another, even if it may not work out. No one's doubting anyone, and everyone's coming back. But I feel like the same thing happened over on Carmine Corp side. Like you could see the adjustments they were making, change of tempos. Like they're playing the map very strong. So I think Abyss is one of those maps where it's a battle of adjustments, and I think thankfully we came out on top, but can't discredit anything that they did too as well.
I mean, obviously, we had to wait a long time for Vitality to finally show themselves onto the main stage. The last time this team competed was over in Champions, over in South Korea,
Hmm.
finishing ultimately in third place of their respective group. And since then on, they made it a point to add big names, and that's exactly what they did.
Hmm.
First off, adding yourself, Faded, because that's probably the most important out of all. And then it was Durka, then it was Les, and having them all together and just work together to surpass the mark from 2024. So the question I want to ask you is, after this match, what's been the biggest takeaway in coaching this team, and having to look at the progress from like the start of the formation of the team to this current moment.
I mean, I think within all the individuals, everyone, like, that's something that actually surprised me the most was everyone comes in, bringing ideas and ready to work and develop. Even though Les and Dirk have been at the top, and Safe and Kimmy and Kicks and Trex have pushed it to champs, and have experience at that kind of international stage. Like, everyone is hungry and everyone's able to bring more to the table. In the beginning, I think it was one of those ideas of, like, how are these guys going to get together, mesh, and be on the same page? But I think the nice thing was that instantaneously the boys kind of connected. And in order to work with them, I think there's a lot of ideas and there's a lot of talent and difference. We have Dirk coming from Fnatic, we have Les coming from Loud, we have the remaining three coming from Vitality, and there's so many different ideas that are always being generated. Whether it comes from compositions or strategy or ways to look at the map and the macro. And I think one of the coolest things is that they entrust me to be able to kind of bring it all together for them, right? Especially being able to, one of the key things that I always love doing is kind of seeing the strengths of the players, right? And being able to work around them. And I think, hopefully I'm not giving too many secrets away with this kind of thing, but being able to build with so much talent, so much diversity, opens the doors for so many different things. And I think the idea is being able to kind of get them centralized and focus. And, we're not at a peak form. There's a lot of refinement, but I think the cool thing is that everyone wants to work more. Everyone wants to do more. Everyone wants to get better. And so, you guys will definitely be seeing more and higher ceilings from this team in the future.
I mean, like one interesting part when it comes to looking over into this Vitality squad is yourself, because like I covered Ascension Americas, the most recent event that you were working in as the coach for TSM, and even looking back, or even looking further behind from that point, you kind of joined TSM, I believe, in the middle of the tier 2 season over in North America. You kind of correct me on that if I'm wrong there. But nevertheless, like it kind of feels like you came out of nowhere to go from assistant in TSM to head coach of TSM, and then coaching. What I would say is like the super team of VCT. At the start of this year, and so like how do you kind of look back at your quick ascent, and also what do you think made it possible for you to be at that current position in being in Vitality and on org, looking at your line of work and say, okay, let's pick up Faded as the coach.
Yeah, so just a little correction, I guess. So I was working with FaZe beforehand, and then transitioned into the head coach role with TSM, and then into Vitality. And I think one of the biggest shout outs I have to give is to FaZe, especially to Baby Bay. Baby Bay is a very close friend of mine, but also he's very, very smart, and he's casting in, doing an amazing job in my opinion. But also I got to work closely with him, and I think a lot of it was being able to see it from his eyes, but also to bring it from a different analytical perspective of the game, and kind of meshing those ideas in the beginning. But I feel like my background in itself is very analytical based, and I think that just kind of helped me a lot. I played a lot of sports too as well, so I had a lot of great coaches in the past, and I think I try to bring a lot of different attributes. I study some of the greatest coaches out there too as well, to learn a lot of methodologies. I think especially transitioning into TSM, Scales, their GM, had a lot of faith in me, and I think the thing that I loved the most was with that team, the boys bought in. Sim, GMD, Seven, Poised, and Proto. Like they really brought into the mentality, and I think the season was tough, right? Like we had a week to start before in TSM, and we weren't necessarily hitting our strides until even towards playoffs and towards the end, right? I think that's where things really, really kind of meshed together. And I think, Dam or Malik, who I work with at Vitality, I think, hit me up. Nevo management did a great job of connecting us, and it's just synergized. I think the mentality that I have, and kind of the beliefs and the ethics, and just kind of like the things I try to focus on more when it comes to teams, I think was well received by Vitality. And I just have to say, like, their Vitality is an amazing work, all the way from Neo at the owner, all the way down to me and the players, but everyone in between. Andy and Killy. There's so many great people within the organization, and I think it just matches in terms of the way that we see teams, esports, and just general life concepts. And so I think that pairing along with the work ethic that I try to bring to the table really matched the culture, a fit of what Vitality was looking for. And so there's a lot of luck involved in that kind of aspect. But once we got to the table, the synergy just made so much sense. So yeah.
If there's one, what do you is the one feature that you want to instill within the Vitality squad? From your kind of coaching philosophy, coaching style, for this year.
Main focus for me is always going to be brotherhood. I think one of the things is when you're willing to ride and die with the person next to you, it makes you, kind of go to ends earth to make things happen, right? There's so many concepts when it comes to working hard and ethics, but when you have a reason to do it for the people that are to your left and to your right, like it makes that work so much easier and so much more fun. And I think, even thinking about the rosters that Dirtka had and Loud or Les had, and the championship winning mentalities that they brought, one of the key components that I always saw was that brotherhood aspect. And I think, there's so many layers to it when it comes to trust, respect, and everything. But that is something that I really highly value.
Course, and one more question. Got to squeeze in one more
Mhm.
question real quick. I mean, obviously, as a coach of Vitality, there comes a lot of expectations and pressure for a team like this due to how it's been constructed and the goals that it wants to achieve. So, have you kind of been getting a sense of that pressure for yourself?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like the org, is so amazing that they take all the pressure off. Like I don't, I know that there's high expectations for this team, but I don't really look towards the outside pressure. I look for what we want to achieve and what we want to do. And I think Vitality makes it so easy because they give me so many resources. Whether it's if I'm feeling tight in a corner and pressuring myself, like there's so many people on the staff that just like help me relieve that, right? Like they also remind me, hey, look, like you're doing it for the boys and you're doing it for them to want like get further in life, right? Like I don't think the end goal for obviously end goal is always going to be being able to win things and showcase it. But for me, my end goal with the boys is as long as they can showcase the best of their abilities and show growth within what they're doing, that's what I care about the most. And I think that helps ease off the pressure or societal expectations more because I'm so focused on them, right? And them as not only players but also individuals. And I think having respect for them and being able to learn things from them, but also be able to teach them, I think is really the focal point for me, which ends up removing a lot of that pressure, in my opinion. So yeah.
Definitely one to listen to when it comes to yourself, with your answers. Always a pleasure to listen to you. So, Faded, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk to you for this interview. Really do appreciate it. Gotta let you go because you gotta get some hours because it's very late over there. So
Yes, sir.
not any further. So thank you so much, Faded, and best of luck goes to you in the future.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you.